A high school girl with braided hair named Komomo was seen waving and smiling at the camera during a live stream. The screen was filled with colorful hearts and various overlay icons, while the chat buzzed with comments, one of which read, "Komomo is so adorable." She thanked everyone for watching and told them that she hoped they would meet again in her next live stream. The stream displayed her name and introduced her as Komomo, 17 years old and a third-year student. Her social media profile appeared on screen, revealing she was an influencer with 6.8 thousand followers. Komomo described herself as a so-called high school girl influencer and confessed that she never wanted the day to end. Afterward, she checked her phone and saw comments on her posts. One mentioned Komomo-chan being a role model to them. She thought that even though she had been doing this for 2 years, she never imagined that she would become someone else's role model. Another comment expressed happiness that Komomo-chan had answered their question, while someone else said they trusted whatever she recommended. A third comment noted that whatever Komomo-chan was doing for her thighs was clearly working. Komomo thought to herself how happy she felt reading these messages. She concluded that there was no way she could stay lazy, so she pulled up her training outfit, ready to get to work. Later, Komomo was in the gym performing sit-ups. While sweating, she counted her reps aloud, reaching 55, 56, then 57, and kept going. She commented in her head that hard work pays off, referring to a famous quote from Utsugi Teiko, a Japanese softball player. In her daily routine, she diligently handled social marketing and workouts every single day, always putting in her best effort. She measured her progress by wrapping a tape measure around her leg and was thrilled to see that it was 2 centimeters thinner. Komomo attributed her persistence and tenacity to her background in sports, reflecting that she had always been active and committed since she was young. While lying on the floor, Komomo accidentally kicked a makeup cart, making it rattle. Clutching her foot, she said, "Ouch." She then noticed a photo that had been flipped up, revealing a girl in a martial arts uniform with freckles. Shocked, Komomo yelled, "Ua!" Komomo held the photo and read a note attached to it that said, "Look at this when you feel like slacking." She reminded herself that 3 years ago, she had been fat and had suffered from severe breakouts. It was something she definitely didn't want her followers to know about, thinking, "Ugh, I really can't show it." Later, while working out with a dumbbell, sweating and huffing, Komomo reflected that as an influencer, having everyone admire you was essential. Understanding how to get popular before others did was also crucial. After finishing her stretches, Komomo announced that it was time to scroll on Thai Live. Grabbing her phone, she tuned into a live stream where a male live streamer was speaking. She reflected inwardly that whatever was currently trendy and popular could be found on social media. She browsed through various posts, watching a stream of a cooking influencer with a huge following, and then swiping to a stylish girl. Komomo thought social media was a place where super talented and beautiful people were. Suddenly, someone yelped loudly, saying it hurt so much. Just then, a loud burst of guitar strumming came from somewhere, and Komomo turned, saying, "Huh." Komomo stared intently at her phone, her face tense with surprise and confusion. She thought to herself, "What is this? A singing stream? Must be." The stream showed a person with sunglasses and a hero as one pleases. He strummed a guitar and sang. The boy noted he seemed to be streaming from inside a closet, and she immediately questioned the large number of clothes. She also wondered why he was wearing sunglasses. She then noticed a close-up of his fingers playing the guitar with a band-aid that had a cartoon character on it. The combination made her think that first-time viewers would probably get scared off. But before she could finish her thought, she noticed that the song being played was actually pretty good. Wondering whose song it was, she continued listening. The screen showed that it was a live streaming session where someone was performing an original song. An original, she thought with amazement. The streamer had a good voice. Suddenly, the live stream ended with a click, and Komomo yelled in surprise, shocked by how abruptly it ended. She complained, saying they should at least have announced it, and begged them not to end things so quickly. A thought that grew when she saw his profile with the username Aroma and a candle icon. She thought it was peculiar, with his name being Aroma and the profile picture just being a candle. When she looked at his stats, she saw his follower count and was stunned to see it was only 52, with 1,332 likes. She thought in disbelief that it was so low. She noticed that he had posted a fair number of songs and thought it was a waste that someone with such good quality remained so unpopular. In her eyes, his voice had real potential, and with the right approach, he could become truly popular. Komomo reminded herself that it was already late and it was time to take a bath and sleep. She closed the chat window and thought that he couldn't do his work at the desk. The scene shifted to the school the next day. Someone called out, "Hey, Komomo-chan." She arrived at school smiling, radiating an aura of freshness and elegance in her uniform that seemed almost surrounded by flowers. Morning, she greeted some girls warmly. Her charm was such that even a passing group of students became love-struck. As she walked down the hall, a few girls whispered in awe saying, "Komomo-chan is so cute. Her face is so perfect," one exclaimed, and another added, "It's the real deal." Komomo was smiling, her face close up the flowers behind her. Suddenly, some girls called out to her. "Morning, Komo," they said, asking if she was used to her new classes. She replied, "Not yet," with her head down, thinking about how she just started. One of the girls said, "But I just started, you know," as the group was seen from behind, walking away. Nearby, a group of first-year girls were gathered around Komomo, showering her with admiration and compliments. One of them, with sparkling eyes, mentioned how cute Komomo's twin tails were, to which Komomo responded with a smile and thanked them. Still thinking about the compliment, Komomo turned quickly and accidentally hit a boy in the stomach with her shoulder. He grunted in pain, while Komomo, unaware, remarked how happy she was to be complimented. He fell to the ground groaning, and Komomo, realizing what happened, paused in shock and apologetically asked if he was okay. Komomo stared blankly, then remorsefully lowered her gaze and apologized softly. As Komomo studied his face, she couldn't help noticing how handsome he was, with detailed features and a cool expression. Komomo bowed repeatedly, panicking and apologizing again, while the boy coughed and tried to breathe. She berated herself internally, wondering how she could have hit him so hard, especially right in the gut. He said he was fine, but Komomo thought he wasn't looking too good. In fact, he seemed quite pale. While still bowing, she caught a glimpse of something on his right hand. It was a band-aid with a character design. She realized out loud that it was on the same spot as the streamer she had watched the night before. But now it was on the right hand, she reasoned, since the front camera reverses the image. She told herself that lots of people wore band-aids on their hands. But looking closely at his band-aid, she realized the character on it was definitely Nushi-chan, the same character that had been on the band-aid of the singing streamer. The boy was startled and asked if she meant from the previous day's T-Live. Komomo now strongly believed that this person really might be Irino from yesterday's singing stream. The boy turned away, and she was stunned, silently urging herself to run. Suddenly panicked and ran away, she called out in surprise, thinking that he ran so fast it was suspicious. Then a girl next to her asked if that wasn't her classmate, called Irino, with blank eyes and a tense smile. Komomo replied no way, that he wasn't in her class. Blushing, she repeated that he wasn't in her class, but then the story shifted to Class 3B, where Komomo apologized with a flushed face for not remembering, adding that she did just change classes. He said it was okay and greeted her. She explained that during a lunch break, a group of girls had surrounded Irino, asking for his Instagram. According to Uneko, he had been really popular in his first year because of his cuteness. Girls would flock to him. While they were eating, Irino had smiled eerily and carelessly poured his bento sauce all over his phone. The scene shifted to Irino smiling and thinking. He realized that this was all part of his act. Komomo sat at her desk, tense and nervous. She couldn't stop thinking about the phone and sauce. She wondered why he had sauce on his phone, and remembered it was kind of scary. The scene shifted to Irino with messy hair sitting in the classroom. He held his face with a tense expression, as if embarrassed or stressed. Other students were seen in the background. Komomo sat at her desk, glancing at Irino beside her, who was reading a book. she wondered if she should dare talk to him. She couldn't help recalling Irino's stream from the previous night. When the class ended, students gathered their bags and left the classroom with lively chatter filling the room. With intense determination in her eyes, she stared at Irino and called his name, saying, "Irino-kun," and tried to ask him something, but he brushed her off, saying he had things to do, and began to walk away. However, she stopped him, mentioning his guitaring. With tension thick in the air, Komomo began commenting on Irino's guitaring. Suddenly, Irino came up to her, grabbing her hand, and pulled her away, saying they should head outside. Outside the class, where the atmosphere was calmer, she warned him that she would ask a bit frankly. Blushing and looking both nervous and serious, she showed him her phone, which displayed the account Aroma, asking if that account was his. Irino, shocked and panic-stricken, denied it, claiming that he was afraid it wasn't him. However, she pressed on, reminding him that the band-aid on his hand was also Nushi-chan. She insisted that there was no point in hiding it now. Irino, sweating intense, admitted that his little sister posted that girl. He asked how long she had known, and the girl with pigtails replied that it was that very morning. She smiled warmly, eyes closed, and told him that he was really good at the guitar. Irino's face, shown in profile, stunned. Standing there, Irino wiped his eyes and started laughing, saying he wasn't cut out for performing, admitting he had already been thinking of quitting. With a nervous, self-deprecating smile, Irino said that a depressing guy like him singing couldn't make anyone happy. But Komomo responded that it wasn't true at all. She assured him that both the song and his singing were good, and if he tried his best, she believed he could get more followers. Then, with a big smile, she told him to first take off his sunglasses and to have some confidence. The anxious Irino turned away, saying it was impossible, really impossible. He looked at his smartphone screen, which displayed his profile with just 52 followers, and thought bitterly about how he was supposed to have any confidence with that number. He then explained to her that he couldn't even talk with others because he was so socially awkward, and insisted that a pessimist like him just wasn't cut out for it at all. He added that not everyone had the knack for it, like she did, while she, with a stunned expression, turned to look at him. He stood there tense at first, then hissed a hollow apology, and his face twisted into a look of terror, before suddenly sprinting away, yelling, "Excuse me!" She watched silently as he ran off down the hallway, the empty corridor emphasizing his retreat. Stunned, she uttered a soft "ah" and wondered if she had scared him off, blaming herself for possibly talking too much from her own perspective. She tried to put herself in his shoes, thinking that a shy guy like Irino livestreaming must take a lot of courage. She then reviewed her behavior, remembering how she had told him to have some confidence, and suggested he take off his sunglasses, all while he sat beside her. Feeling deeply embarrassed, she exclaimed that she was such an idiot. Suddenly, a group of first-year girls called out, "Komomo-senpai," saying, "She's here," making her pause and sigh. Her face turned to surprise as she turned to acknowledge them, saying, A tough-looking boy with dyed hair, and a girl approached her. The boy, with his arm over the girl's shoulder, said they had a favor to ask. The girl, called Komomo, had a first-year student who always approached her, once telling her that her twin tails were cute. Mika voiced that the girl was an influencer, and the boy hushed her, saying she was way cuter. Komomo thought she was getting a bad vibe from the two. Mika said the boys' band was doing a live stream, and Komomo thought people always asked her to promote them. Mika then said they wanted to do it on her account. Komomo raised her hand and bluntly refused, saying she didn't do that kind of thing even if they paid her. He then grinned and pulled out his phone, saying he would do a QR code payment right there and then, demanding that she act like an influencer, as that was how influencers worked. Fuming with anger and frustration, Komomo shouted her refusal again, making it clear she had no intention of complying. She demanded to know if he had even heard her words. The male student with dyed hair then said she wasn't getting it. The panel showed him mid-action angrily moving toward Komomo with lines and the sound effect fling. Komomo was stunned and afraid. The male student with dyed hair's face grew dark, and Komomo wondered with fear what his deal was and if he was threatening her. Suddenly, his hand came closer to Komomo's face. Suddenly, the situation shifted, with a dramatic punch intercepted the attack. Irino, now holding his arm in front of him. His face turned bright red, and he began to sweat. He looked tense and hesitant, unsure of what to do. He clenched his fist tightly, which was shown close up. His fist was shaking, and there was a cute animal-themed bandage on his hand. Komomo stared with wide eyes and uttered in disbelief Irino's name. The student with dyed hair reacted immediately, landing a powerful punch on Irino and yelled, demanding to know what Irino was doing. Irino then turned to leave, his face looking downcast. Komomo, confused, called after him, wondering why he had acted that way. Mika, the girl with the group, observed the situation with a smirk, questioning if that was Komomo-senpai's boyfriend, then laughing and saying maybe not. The male student with dyed hair, still tense, claimed that the other side had been the first to use violence and said it was just self-defense. Mika confirmed his statement, still smiling. The male student muttered that one more hit would do it. Irino, with a tense expression, clenched his fist, ready for another confrontation. With a swift and flawless judo throw, Komomo took down Irino's assailant. The scene was met with tense faces. Irino's eyes had been wide with fear and worry. Komomo's face showed pure focus and rage, the man stunned and shaken. With a determined face, Komomo was shown standing over a boy on ground at the school fence among trees. Komomo still recovered from the pain, thinking that she had thrown him really hard. She turned to her with a fierce glare, asking if anything else was needed. His girlfriend stared with wide, terrified eyes and could only gasp. The boy, ignoring her plea, made a hasty retreat as his girlfriend desperately called after him, yelling not to leave her. They retreated down the hallway, with her shouting at them to remember that and vowing to expose them. Komomo and Irino stood watching their backs. Irino asked in shock if she could do judo. She replied that she had PE in middle school, then noticed he was bleeding and asked why he had come back. Komomo noticed something odd and turned around, her face tense with worry. When she saw it was Komomo standing behind her, she immediately asked why she had come back, but she quickly became more concerned upon seeing that she was bleeding. Irino huddled quiet and said nothing, and then he suddenly bent down and bowed to her. Ryuda bowed deeply and apologized for his earlier behavior, admitting he was sorry for saying such awful things. Komomo supported him as he steadied himself, while Komomo wondered if he had really come back just to tell her that and even jumped in to save her despite never having been in a fight. Her face was tense with emotion, and her hand clenched slightly at her side. Reflecting on the events, she thought to herself that he was like a curtain hero. Back outside, they sat together, with Komomo reading aloud from her phone. The lyrics spoke of orchestrated tears, honest words for a gentle goodbye. She read a line about an egotistical ghost, crying a little under 9 tears on a lonely night. Irino suddenly realized something, his face turning red, and asked with shock if that wasn't his song. She smiled and, with a big smile, confirmed that she really liked Anti-April. Komomo reminded him of his words on T-Live when he had called himself a pessimist. At that time, she had thought he was a weirdo, and he had said that, as such, he had no place making music. Komomo admitted that again she didn't understand what gloomy types truly thought, but she said she had felt that she wanted to hear that pessimist sing. The girl then showed her phone proudly, revealing that she was already follower number 53. Irino stood alone, his face still red, thinking to himself that this was the first time anyone had said something like that to him. With an even deeper blush, he thanked her sincerely. Komomo, her heart pounding and face reddening as well, thought to herself that he was all embarrassed. Turning red herself, Komomo said, "Now I'm turning red too," then stretched and told him to head back, apologizing for getting him involved in all that. Irino called out to her, saying, "Komomo-san." Standing face-to-face under a tree by the fence, Aroma asked Komomo if she could teach him how to gain more followers. He looked earnest and admitted he had realized he didn't want to give up making the music he loved. He wanted more people to hear his songs. Komomo told him that she didn't mind. Irino was stunned and reacted with a very surprised face, saying, "Huh?" Komomo explained that since he helped her out earlier, it was only fair. Irino, with a displeased face, thought it was less of helping out and more like taking one to the face. Komomo then set their goal to 100,000. Irino had repeated the number in shock, and Komomo had confirmed it with a cheerful smile. Internally, she thought that she wasn't quite sure how to actually increase his following. But she genuinely wanted everyone to hear Aroma singing. Komomo, 17 years old and in her 3rd year of high school, was living her life just fine. As she walked through the city, people noticed her, with some saying how cute she was, and others exclaiming, "It's Komomo-chan." Some even commented that when she smiled, it was godly fan service. Her radiant smile, sparkling with charm, left a strong impression on those around her and contributed to her popularity. At the train station, Komomo, with a casual gesture, said she was taking the train and told her friend, "See you later." The girl with short hair, with ponytail, waved goodbye, saying "see you." Afterward, Komomo received a notification on her phone, prompting her to pick it up. It was a notification from T-Live stating that Aroma had gone live. Komomo wondered if Irino was streaming again and imagined him playing the guitar in his closet, asking herself if he was doing it from there once more. Suddenly, she noticed something on the stream. Suddenly, Irino himself, who was playing the guitar on stream, was stunned, making Hiyuki wonder out loud if it was really Irino. As Irino continued playing, the bag slipped off his head, and he quickly covered his face with his hands, screaming in shock. The live stream ended instantly. Komomo called him and asked which karaoke place he was at, saying she had something to talk to him about right then. With an angry smile, he thought that showing his face was impossible, and he didn't want any rumors spreading about him at school. He remembered that when someone struck up a conversation with him, he got so nervous that he behaved suspiciously, and often ended up doing something strange. Komomo listened with a stunned expression. She repeated the story and asked if that meant that when a girl started talking to him, he got so nervous that he ended up pouring sauce over his phone. Irino admitted it was true. Later, at a karaoke shop called Karaoke Doramiya, with a cat logo, Irino had walked in wearing a hoodie and tense face. When he saw Komomo, he asked if she had watched his live stream. Komomo, with an unreadable expression, said she had seen it, but then had burst out laughing, holding the paper bag mask and saying she had never seen anyone put something like that on their head and go live. It was so funny that she had lost all her will to be mad. With a blushy face, Irino watched the performance and thought they were so cool. He told Irino he wanted to try and copy what the famous artist was doing, but he said it had been really hard to sing while wearing a paper bag. Komomo and Cap burst out laughing, calling it Amazon Bagman, and joked that in a way, he might get famous that way. Irino sat silently, thinking another skeleton had been added to the closet. While talking to him like this, she noticed something and thought that Irino really had a beautiful face. She thought that if he just showed his face while streaming, his followers would definitely increase. She imagined Irino as a handsome high school musician, with fans following him and admiring his talent. And being curious, she asked directly if he didn't want to reveal his face. He explained that even though Irino intended to pour the sauce onto his croquettes, his nervousness made him accidentally put it on his phone instead. This mishap, he explained, had led people to say he was crazy or weird, and some even thought he looked scary. With an awkward laugh, Irino said that was the honest truth. He admitted it was strange, but despite being afraid of facing people, he still wanted his songs to be heard by someone. She acknowledged that Irino's streams drew her in with their melody and his singing voice. He wanted someone to listen. He wanted to convey his songs. She felt that even if he performed under a different name and only a handful of people watched it, she still wanted to experience the best he could do. Then, in a sudden shift, the girl threw her cap and it hit Irino's face with a plunk, making him say, "Ow." She then stood up on the couch and called Irino a wimp, saying that his followers didn't care if he was a weirdo or a pervert. They just wanted to listen to his singing and his songs. The producer girl, maintaining a composed face, asked what he was spacing out for. She explained that as a test, she would record a video, so he should try and sing. She started operating a recording device, and Irino reacted in shock, asking what was happening. She reminded him that she was the producer, so he shouldn't tell her that it was embarrassing. She instructed him to leave her hat over there. Irino complied, placing the hat on the table. Irino said that he would sing with his all, asking her to listen closely. Komomo had watched with sparkling eyes, smiling broadly and clapping her hands in excitement, saying, "Ooh." He strummed the guitar with intense focus, generating a powerful sound that seemed to fill the air around him. In that moment, Komomo had felt her heart race. She acknowledged that this Irino sounded different. The scene showed both Komomo and Irino with intense expressions. Irino had a slight smile as he played. Komomo was trembling, blushing, and tense. After finishing the performance, Irino returned to his usual self, looking a bit embarrassed as he scratched his head. He said that it had just been a rough version of the song. He admitted that his tempo had been too fast, laughing awkwardly and adding it was always embarrassing for him. Irino reacted with disbelief, asking if she was blushing. Flustered, she had quickly pushed Irino away, her face red as she claimed it was just a little hot in the room. Even after, she was left wondering why she had gotten so red from just watching Irino. Even as Komomo apologized, Irino brushed it off with a laugh, saying it was all good. She thought to herself that even though he was the same old Irino, yet her heart kept pounding out of her chest.